Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Flipper, and I founded On the Bus Sales Training Coaching Consulting on New Year's Eve 2010. So that puts us in our 12th year of coaching business owners, and that's what we do best. And the way we do it is by community, and we create what we call buses, and they're virtual buses now, where we put up to 8 owners on a bus once a month for a 4-hour meeting where they share challenges and opportunities and get feedback and hold each other accountable to making a change by the next month's meeting. And the results of these meetings are phenomenal. 46 of our owners in the last 6-7 years came to us with the intent of wanting to sell their business, and they have done that. So things really happen at our meetings. We get to do some unique stuff because we don't just talk about stuff, we do stuff. And we have our own sales trainings that are available for the community and for others that meet on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month from 10 to 12. Our next class is on giving your 2-minute intro. So we've gotten pretty good at this. And we have our own networking group, Bang, on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m., which was today, 9 to 10. And we have quarterly virtual trade shows. We used to have live trade shows, and we were doing those twice a year. The pandemic hit, and we had to figure something out. And we went virtual, and they're even better. They're phenomenal. Anyone who's been will attest to it that they're really great, and they feel live. And I don't have to worry about parking, weather, fire marshals, any of that stuff. It's just a much better platform from my side and apparently from your guys' side. And we had 6 of those last year. We're going to do 4 this year. We're doing them on the first Friday of March, June, September, and December. And I'll put my information in the chat. Chris Flipper, On the Bus Sales Training Coaching Consulting. Don't get left behind. Get on the bus.
Chris, you want to talk a little bit more about how you address this area?
Sure. Thank you. And it's been fascinating to hear everyone, and we're all very similar, and we all do things the same but different and that kind of thing. And we have our book. It's the On the Bus Sales Training Workbook, and twice a year we review Chapter 11 on page 117, and we do this in December and June. So for me and our groups, we like to plan for next year in December, so we don't lose January. Some groups like to do it the middle of January. Well, then we've lost January, you know? So if we're gonna plan for next year, let's do it the month before. So that's how we do it. And it starts with a vision. So whenever I sit down with a new client, we have a little meditation together, and we go out to their exit. So depending on their age, it could be 5 years, it could be 20 years. But we want to know where they want to exit and what they want the business to look like then, so we can work backwards. But if we're going to look at the next year, let's say, for example, like many have said, we need a SMART goal, right? And it's interesting how we're all changing the acronym a little bit. So for me, it's strategic, measurable, attainable, realistic, and trackable. And the trackable part's important. And what I do with our members is we have a bus pass every month. So prior to coming to our monthly meeting, I'll sit down with them one-to-one, and we'll go over their bus pass. And what we're looking at there are behavioral goals. So I'm not a big believer in KPIs. I think KPIs is an accounting term for what just happened. And it's a reporting system. It's a report card of sorts. But their behavioral goals are something different. That's something in our control, in our power, something we can do, right? It's an action that we can make time for or not, depending on our motivation. But we need to look at the spread, where I think Bertha referred to it as the gap. So let's say you did $750,000 last year in revenue, and you want to be at $1 million next year. The gap, or the spread, is $250,000. If you're in a business where your business repeats, if you're starting every year at $0, that's a different way of doing this. But let's look at that scenario where we've got a $250,000 spread. So the first thing we want to know is, what's your average ticket? How much is your average ticket? Let's use round numbers and say it's $10,000. So if we want $250,000 and we've got $10,000, that tells us we need 25 orders, right? So then we got to look at your kill ratio. So when you meet with a client, how often do you close them? Is it 50% of the time? Is it 1 out of 10? What is that number? So then we know how many quotes we need in the 12 months or per month. We can break it down to monthly. So if I've kind of lost my train of thought here, but if we wanted 10 new clients and we have a 50% kill ratio, we need 20 quotes, right? So what do we need to do to get 20 quotes? And that's the fun part. Is it networking? And do you have a networking goal? Who here has a networking goal? I know I do. This is networking. I know Danelle does because I coach her. So my networking goal whenever I go to an event is to schedule 2 one-to-ones. And my goal with those one-to-ones is to ask for a referral, is to paint a picture in a well enough way where somebody knows what I do, where I can say, do you know anyone who could benefit from this? And if I can do those things, I'll probably hit my number next year. And my number, I'd like 13 new clients this year. That's it. No more, hopefully no less, but that's my goal. And I've structured this for me and for my clients. But the key thing to the whole thing is the accountability. That I need to go through this once a month, have somebody hold me accountable, nudge me a little bit if I'm not doing enough, talk to me if I'm doing too much of one, and it works best by community. And that's why we do it at our bust meetings. And they share their numbers, and we can see when somebody says, yeah, my things are a little off. We don't have the opportunities we used to have. We can go back and look at 3 months ago, they weren't networking. And that's why. So anyway, it's the behaviors, it's in our control. And that's the important part for me. So I don't want to take too much time, but thank you.
No, that's great, Chris. And that's what I love. I love you have the soft side, but you have the hard numbers. As the accountant, I love the hard numbers.
Again, I've just enjoyed listening to everyone. And Karen, we obviously have a lot of similar music between us because I can tell by your words what you listen to, and that's nice to hear. So for me, you've got the stick or the carrot as motivators, and the carrot needs to keep growing. I guess the stick could, but I'd rather look at the reward side, right? So I love working with startups and with newer companies because the owners are more teachable and trainable, and you see the results right away because they implement right away. And that's really fun for them. It's fun for me. It's motivational. It's exciting, And then as they follow along and go with our process, what ends up happening with a lot of entrepreneurs is good is the enemy of great, right? They get happy being good. Their sights of being great aren't there as much, right? And I don't want to say they get flat, but they're happy being good. And then my job is to remind them of the carrot. Hey, we still want to do this, right? And then by the end, their goal is just not to blow it. And yeah, they pay me more then. They're still nice. It's just not as much fun or as exciting, if you know what I mean. But there's something to be said for being comfortable also. And that can be a goal for most. If we have time, just because you guys are all talking food, I have a great food story, if that's okay. Can I take a minute, Dennis?
Oh, please do.
All right. So 5 years ago, I went vegan. And it was for no reason other than I watched a movie called What the Health on Netflix, and I learned that our government has us eating badly to fuel the pharmaceutical industry. And I was on cholesterol meds. I was like, what? And I went vegan that day, and I've been vegan ever since, and I will always be vegan, and it's the top 3 decisions of my life. I moved in with my girlfriend about 1.5 years ago, and she insisted I go get a physical, and I went to the doctor, and they drew blood, and the doctor is like up in arms saying, your cholesterol is 258. You're going to have a stroke or a heart attack. You have to go on meds. I'm like, not going to do it. And he goes, no, you don't understand. You're going to have a stroke or a heart attack if you don't go on meds. I'm not going to do it. Find a different way. And I told him the whole vegan story. He goes, all right, I'll make a deal with you. You go get a CT scan of your heart. And if the numbers come back good, you don't have to go on meds. I said, fine. A couple Fridays later, in a meeting, my phone's blowing up. I see it's the doctor. I tell my girlfriend, look, call the doctor. I get ready to go to the hospital. He's called 6 times. And I got him, we talked, and he goes, I've never seen anything like this. Your CT scan came back a 0% blockage. And my body makes 258 whatever points of cholesterol. So I'm not a believer in meds. I'm well, for certain things, maybe mental things, whatever it might be, but for cholesterol, diet. The medicine is what we put in our bodies. So just wanted to share that. You guys motivated me to share that.
Excellent. Excellent. Great. Great. Awesome stories.
So I really enjoyed listening to what everybody has to say. It's been a pleasure to be with other coaches. You know, normally it's just not a format that I get to be a part of. So Dennis, thank you. For me, it's about making a lifestyle change. You know, these aren't diets, these aren't fads, these aren't, it's a new beginning, you know, and New Year is a great time to start that, but it's a new life and it's a new way of living. And I think that's the difference. So whether it be in business, that we're going to be a better networker, network with a goal, set yourself up. And if you're not doing a good job, go get coaching, go get training, or go to different events. Maybe it's the event. Maybe you've been there for 6 years and it's the same, 20 people. Or go visit the 20 people with a different spin on it and get to know them instead of telling them about you, kind of thing. Tip, always go for the referral. Don't go for the sale. They will refer themselves. But I think making things a lifestyle change is much different than a diet or something else along those lines. So thank you.
What happens when somebody has a goal, they think, they want it, they know it's good for them, and they don't carry out with it for whatever reason? So for example, we're talking about food, or let's just drinking water, right? I know I should drink more water. I set that as a goal, but I don't do it. Or with marketing, as Chris said, I know I want to do more networking and marketing, and I'm not doing it, but I know it's good for me, and I know I should. I just it doesn't fit me. Even with, say, an accountability partner, other than that, what are some ideas to, or what's going on with a problem like that typically, if there is a typical?
Is this free-form to answer, or it looks like
Karen? Go ahead, you start, and then Karen can follow up.
So what I'll do is I always recap. And I'll say to the person, so I had one guy who came to me some years ago, and his business was in the crapper and things weren't going great, but his objective in life was he wanted to ski more on better snow. And that was his whole thing, right? That he was a big skier, and I guess surfers could say the same thing. And we helped him turn his business around, and he was out skiing. And, there was a situation where he had to work on, I think it was Labor Day weekend or whatever, and he was complaining about it. And it was about hitting his goals. And I said, oh, well, I guess you don't want to ski as much this year? Is that still not a priority for you? So, it can be a matter of just reminding them of the goal and the priority. So it's also, it's strange when it's 6 months away, but we need reminders sometimes, that it was important to them then. Is it still important to you? So we have a system called RCIP where we recap, we confirm, we remind them of the importance, and find out what kind of priority this was for them then and is for them now. So hopefully that helps.